Hello, welcome to the Brave Enough Show. We're going to be talking all today about Enneagram types 2, 3s, and 4s and what it means to live and be in the Heart Triad. I'm really excited because every year in the fall, I put on a conference and it's really special. It's a high touch conference and I pour my heart and soul to it. I work on this conference all year. When you come to this conference, it's like no other CME conference you're going to go to. I really design it for women to show up being tired, being exhausted, feeling stuck, feeling like just the meh. Have you ever felt just meh? I don't want women to think they have to come to this conference and be anything or bring anything other than themselves. And I want them to leave with a clear understanding of who they are and also what makes them unique, and give them permission to go home and really live out the life in their career and at home with their families that they know and they deserve to live. And to do that, I have to cultivate a really important curriculum over 3 short days. And I also create it so that women can rest and recover in the afternoons. That's one of the key ingredients of what makes the Brave Enough Women's CME conference so magical is that it's a really good combination of incredible topics and speakers that speak right directly to you and get you, and also downtime. I want you to enjoy the spa. I want you to enjoy the pools. I want you to take a nap. I want you to rest. I want you to go shopping, go to dinner, meet new people, all the things that sound good to you. I want you to have those options to do them and the time to do them. So I want you to sign up. If you've never come to the conference, you've always wanted to do it, stop what you're doing, go to braveenoughconference.com and sign up. This is the year to do it. You don't want to wait. You don't want to put it off another year. Get there, do it, be there now. I want to see you. Okay. We're talking a lot about knowing yourself and really understanding what it means to know yourself. And I think it's so important to understand your personality. It's really the root of well-being is self-awareness. And part of self-awareness is understanding your symptoms of burnout, your symptoms of stress, your symptoms of overwhelm, of anger, of frustration, all the emotions that you may feel. You have to understand where your mental state is and your emotional state is in order for you to regulate yourself. I know for myself, like when I ignore the red flags, when I ignore how I'm feeling and I just push myself more, or I keep working harder, or I ignore, physical signs of stress. Maybe I'm having tachycardia or my heart rate's elevated. Maybe I'm starting to feel achy. Maybe I'm starting to feel sick and I just ignore it. It's almost always related to recent stress and that I am not dealing with, and that I'm just pushing through by adding more to my plate or just not wanting to disappoint someone. So I just keep pushing. And what I've learned is that it's really bad when someone else makes the diagnosis for me that I am on the verge of collapse. It's really bad if someone like my husband or one of my kids says, you're not looking great. You're not doing great. You're short. You're angry. What's going on with you? By the time someone else recognizes it and has the kind of, loves me enough to call it out, it is well past the point of where it should be. So I've learned that being self-aware is a foundational skill to staying well. Oftentimes we think, why doesn't someone else see how stressed out I am? Why are they asking me to do this? Or don't they know how busy I am? Why are they putting this on my plate? The truth is, not other people don't know how busy you are. Most people are just completely involved in their own life and their own stress level. So if you don't have self-awareness to regulate yourself, no one else is going to regulate it for you until it becomes a problem. And that's what we don't want, right? We don't want our own stress to be projected on our coworkers or our people that we take care of or our family or our loved ones, our friends, our spouse, fill in the blank. When other people notice it, it's probably gone unchecked, or it's past the point that it should be, quite frankly. And so one of the most important things we can understand is knowing our personality, knowing our core motivations. And that's what this entire season is about. Now, again, I'm going to say it. If you've never learned about the Enneagram, I'm going to put links in the show notes for you to take the test so that you can do some self-awareness. It's my favorite self-assessment out there of all the different tests out there to really assess who you are and what your core motivations are. I'm also going to put links in the show notes to season 7 of the Brave Enough podcast, because it's a great season that goes through each type, one type per episode on a deep level. And I interview people that have different types. It's really fun season. So I encourage you, if you've never listened to that season, to go back if you want to learn more, at least learn about your type. Listen to the episode on your type. What we're going to talk about today is what's called the Heart Triad. And the Heart Triad is type 2, 3, and 4 in the Enneagram. So if you've taken the test and you're a type 2, 3, or 4, this is going to speak to you. If you know someone, if you are married to someone, if your best friend, your spouse, your closest coworker, your parents are types 2, 3s, or 4, or your kids, you will be really interested in this. Now, you probably will find it funny. I mean, at least I did. When I had my kids all take the Enneagram test, I've not tested my youngest, but my older 3 have. You have to be around, they say age 17 really to take the test. That's at least when it's been validated. I did have my daughter take it at 16, and because she's very mature, she's more like I think she thinks she's 27, not 17, but she did take it. I haven't had my youngest take it, but I'm pretty sure what he is. But obviously, you cannot type anyone, only you can type yourself. But what's interesting is no one in my family, in our family unit of 6, is in the Heart Triad, which is kind of scary, because it does explain a lot, though, because if something happens to my children, it's either like everyone overthinks, or if something happens to one of like their siblings, like someone gets hurt or someone gets injured or somebody makes a failure or a big mistake, everybody has an opinion, but we don't have a lot of empathy. I'm like, wow, Lance and I have somehow raised 4 children and no one is in the Heart Triad. Maybe that's a good thing, because maybe if you were in the Heart Triad in our family, it would be a little difficult to survive. But we're pretty split. We have 4 of us actually in the gut triad, and 2 of us in the head triad. So nobody in our family is in the Heart Triad, but we're going to talk about it today. I have lots of extended family members that are in the Heart Triad. Some of my closest friends are in the Heart Triad. I coach a lot of women that are in the Heart Triad. So I know a lot of people, but I don't have anyone in our little family of 6. So it's kind of funny, because I've always thought to myself, man, my kids should really be more empathetic to one another. Maybe it's just it's the sibling thing. Like if one of them gets hurt, instead of like rushing to their side, they're typically like, well, why did you trip? That was dumb. Or you should have done this. Or, well, you need this to treat that. But they give them a lot of information and they're concerned, but there's not a lot of care and empathy in their language to one another. And I kind of laugh about that. Okay. So what is the Heart Triad? What does it mean to be a type 2, 3, or 4 in the Heart Triad? Well, the Heart Triad, different than the Gut Triad, which we talked about last time. You live in the feeling center. And when you make decisions, you're feeling those decisions. You feel it. So even in the language that you use, if you're a 2, 3, or 4, you're going to probably say, I feel versus I think. And it's probably going to feel very odd to you that there are people that don't feel like you do, because feeling is just second nature to you. So it doesn't mean that you're a highly emotional person. I want to make that is a false belief around the Heart Triad. It doesn't mean that you're, she or he is so emotional. That's not what this means. It means that when you're going to make a decision, or when you read people and how you make assessments and see the world comes from the heart center. So, it's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing, and I want to make sure that I really push that out there. It is not bad to be in the heart triad. It's a beautiful thing to be in the heart triad. People that are in the heart triad have high empathy. And what we know about leaders is that having high empathy is one of the strongest attributes you can possess as a leader. You're going to get excellent evaluations if you are an empathetic leader. It's one of the top 5 attributes of super successful people is having high empathy. So that's one of the positives of being in that heart triad is it's hard for you to actually imagine people that lack empathy. You see situations if you're in this triad and you're making those decisions based on how you feel. It may be difficult for you to explain to others, but emotionally shut down people feel very far off to you because you can't imagine going through your day without feeling. You may have a hard time expressing why you made this decision or why you see someone like that, but you are in the feeling center. I always know when I do a lot of public speaking, as you know, and I love speaking to crowds and large crowds and small crowds. I just love public speaking and I love teaching, and I do a lot of it. And I always find people that someone will bring me water almost always before I get up and give a talk. And it's so interesting to me because it's such a thoughtful, small gesture, but almost everywhere I go, someone will be like, "Oh, here's a glass of water." A lot of times it's not the person who's organizing the event. They're super busy, they're running around. And I always want to find out, I'm like, they are an Enneagram 2. I bet $1 million they're an Enneagram 2 because people in the feeling center will feel the room. They'll walk into the room and they'll feel the room and they'll be like, what does this person need right now? And it's something they struggle to even turn off. They wish they didn't have that always on. Now, if you are in the heart triad and you're an Enneagram 2, 3, or 4, your struggle is going to be shame and identity. And the reason for that is because you often are in the service of others and you are also high achieving and you struggle with shame like you're missing something. You either aren't achieving enough, you're not helping enough, or you're not creative enough. Those are very common thoughts. And so you struggle with that shame piece and that identity because you feel so deeply. And this is why, during when the pandemic hit and the COVID pandemic hit, I remember the 2s, the 3s, and the 4s that were my coaching clients were feeling a lot of empathy and shame. And I remember thinking, like, why are you, when I would coach them and we would really get down to the emotion of shame, it was, I'm not doing enough to help others. I don't know what to do, and I haven't figured out how to excel in COVID. Or there's got to be a better way to do this, and I just haven't come up with this creative plan to help. Now, I'm speaking mostly from a physician standpoint, but this is what the women that I coach were struggling with. And I thought, wow, like they are so in tune with what the world needs and what others in their world need that they are coming from a space of shame. Like somehow they're not doing enough. So that is a struggle. Okay, that is a struggle. Now let's go through the 3 types that live in the heart center or the heart triad. Number 1, the helper. The helper is their core fear is to be rejected, needy, or unworthy because they love helping others. I mean, they're so good at helping others, and this is just what they do. Their core desire is to be appreciated and wanted. Their core longing is to hear that they are wanted and loved. And their core weakness is denying their own needs and can be pride with that because they struggle to give energy and attention to their own needs because they're always helping other people. They make wonderful friends, by the way. If you have a helper that is your friend, they are just the most wonderful friends because they're always thinking of what your needs are. Type 3 is also in the head triad. Okay. They're feelers. They're deeply feeling people. Very emotionally intelligent people, type 3s. Their core fear is they're called the achiever, number one. And their core fear is to be exposed as incompetent or unsuccessful, which means they aren't, because they're going to do anything in their power to avoid incompetence. They're going to learn everything there is to know about whatever task you give them or what their trait or trade is. They're going to figure it out. Their core desire is to really have high status. They want to be looked at in a positive light for their skills and how successful they are and what they have achieved. And their core longing is actually to hear not that, oh, you've achieved so much, but it's to hear you are loved for simply being you. Because they're such achievers and they get so many accolades and positive feedback for achieving that it can be really hard for a 3 to actually feel like people love them just for who they are. Their weakness is putting on a persona. That means they have a lot of masks. This is why one of the positive attributes of this is they're highly emotionally intelligent. So they can walk into a room and read the room and be like, this is what I need to be in this room. And they put on the mask and they show that. They show up like that because they want to achieve, right? They want to have success, and they know that having success in this culture versus the room next door, they have to act a certain way. Very highly emotionally intelligent people, but their weakness can be deceit, meaning not lying, but putting on that mask and showing up and saying everything's great, everything's wonderful, even if they've just gotten a terrible diagnosis. Okay, that is a 3. They are highly successful people. These are our people in our politicians. These are our leaders often. These are people who are, out in the world doing phenomenal things because they do not fail. I mean, they fail and they get right back on the horse and go higher. So they're highly successful and resilient people. Type 4s are called the romantic individualist. Okay. They're our creatives. They are highly creative people that bring color and beauty to our worlds. And without them, our worlds would be so boring. Their core desire is to be unique, special, and authentic. So they're constantly creating new things and new ideas and new ways to do things. Their core fear is to feel plain or be inadequate or emotionally cut off. They say type 4s don't have emotions, they are emotion. And they can't imagine living in a world or being in a relationship where they were emotionally cut off. That's just incompatible with their presence. Their core longing is to be seen for being unique and special just for being them, not having to create things that are unique and special. Their core weakness is thinking others are what they are and having what they have, and envy, because they're constantly trying to recreate themselves and recreate special environments and special experiences for everyone around them. So sometimes they'll pull away and feel very off and cold because they aren't doing enough. They aren't bringing enough creativity to our world. So sometimes you might think, gosh, why is this person just ghosted me or gone dark? And it's not because it's not you, it's them feeling like they aren't special enough or they don't have something to bring to you. So it's really, really interesting when you learn that someone is a 2, a 3, or a 4. You learn so much about people and how they see the world and process the world. All of these types are wonderful. All of these types bring value to our world. There's not one that is better than the other. So if you've taken the test and you're like, well, I don't like this about myself, well, join the club. It's called the human race. And we all have things that we need to work on, and we all have things that we excel in and are great. And we all also have things that are very stressful for us and hard and to relate to and hard to overcome. And that's what's beautiful about the Enneagram, right? Is it gives you an understanding of others, and it also allows you to see yourself as human. Like, man, no wonder that's hard for me. I came home last night from work after having a conversation with someone at work that I just did not have a great conversation with this person. I felt like our flow was off. I wasn't expressing myself well. And I didn't I didn't know how to actually communicate to this person. And the more I tried to communicate, the worse I was communicating. It was like the divide. Have you ever had a conversation like that where you're talking to someone and you can tell like this is having the opposite effect of what I want. I want to explain myself, but I'm actually sounding defensive, or I want to understand them, but I'm actually sounding critical. Like whatever you're trying to do, the opposite is happening based on how you're speaking. Has anyone else expressed this? I have experienced this. And when it happens, my tendency is to talk more, when in reality, I should shut up and just listen. And I was dissecting this conversation last night in my brain, like, why did you say that? Oh, you should have said that. You should have said nothing. You should have paused. Why didn't you wait for a longer pause? Why didn't you ask them this question so they could explain this? You know, when I really thought about it, I don't know this person's type, Enneagram type, but I wish I did. I was thinking last night, man, I wish I understood their Enneagram type, because I would understand their point of view and where and how they're coming across. And I wish they knew mine. So a lot of times what I will do, by the way, and I get asked this question all the time, is how do you get someone else to take the Enneagram? Well, you can't force them to take it. But a lot of times if I'm having conflict with someone, or I'm having not really conflict, but just having a hard time understanding someone's communication style or their point of view, I will go to them and say, look, I would love for you to take this test. I know it's going to take 20 minutes of your life, and I know that's a lot to ask, but I really care about you, and I want to get to know you better, or I really like working with you, and I wish that we could work better together, and I want to understand you better. Do you mind taking this? And then we can have coffee and talk about it. Do you know how many times people have said, yes, absolutely. People love learning about themselves. Most people, when you give them an opportunity to become more self-aware, they respond very favorably. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you love it as much as I do. I don't know if you belong to my newsletter, but every week I put out a little mini blog. It's a 30-second read on what I've learned this week, or what I've been learning this week. It's called The Scoop. You can go to becomebraveenough.com, and if you slide to the bottom of the homepage, you can sign up for my newsletter. I won't spam you. I'll send you an email every Friday, and I would love to tell you about where I'm speaking or my events. I'd love to send you a little blog and tell you what I'm learning. Thank you for being here and listening. If you like the show, please give me a rating on iTunes. It really does help bump the show up. Share this show with others. If you're interested in Enneagram stuff, reach out to me. I do coach people through it. I'll do a couple sessions with you if you'd like. And as always, live brave.